What I want to say is that even if you're a professional athlete, you might actually not be earning money all throughout the year. You will still need money. If you get injured, if you need to pay your own bills for some time because you're without a team, you do not get team for a season or two, you would need money for that. You would need money to survive in that time, and so you should actually work on developing multiple income streams from as soon as you can do that. Hi guys, this is the first English episode of this podcast. I've already put out a bunch of Hindi episodes, and so if you're an athlete and if you understand Hindi, then you should definitely go and check those episodes out because I think those episodes will help you a lot in your athletic journey. In this episode, we will speak about financial planning for athletes, and I think it's a pretty good topic to speak about on a podcast because a lot of people who aspire to be pro athletes do not know the financial reality of the game, and they do not know that majority of the footballers live below the American poverty line, which of course will not be poverty line in a number of countries, but still, like, that's still a very low amount of resources to survive upon. In this podcast, we will speak about how to manage your finances from the earliest stage possible. It doesn't matter if you are 22 or if you are 35 or whatever age you are, because this is the only moment in your life when you can take an action and start something new that is going to further help you in your life 10-15 years down the road. So I will talk a little bit about the financial reality of professional sports if you do not know what I am going to speak about in the podcast further. I'm going to basically introduce you to a background which is, I suppose, the financial background of professional athleticism, and then we will get into how to manage your finances. And if you're an athlete and if you already know what the financial background of professional sports is, or how much the professional athletes make and how they use their money, then you can definitely skip to the next chapter. But for those of you who do not know about the financial things that the athletes deal with, should definitely listen to this one. So with professional athletes, there's like a big truth, and that is most of the athletes who play at the professional level and who do not play in like the top 5 or 7 leagues in the world of their particular professional sport, these kind of athletes do struggle financially and often do not end up having enough money earned in their professional career that they can survive off of that money after their retirement, or they can even like invest that much money and survive off that invested money, or let's say the dividends and the interest coming from that invested money. And it is because professional sports at the lower levels often do not pay a huge amount of salary. But if you see the top 5 or 7 leagues of any of the professional sport, then you can definitely see that those players do have a lot of money, and those players are pretty much secure financially because those players have like huge salary caps. The teams have huge salary caps, the players are paid like handsomely their salaries, and those people are just, man, making tons and tons of money, man. And that's like the reality. The majority of the professional footballers in the United States get paid less than $4,000 a month. If you are playing at a professional level or at a semi-professional level, you already know that a lot of your expenses are carried out by the team. Like, you get paid for your travel, you get paid for your training gear, you get paid for your housing, and some other expenses of yours are taken over by the team. And other than that, the team might pay you a salary as well. And if your league is a fully professional league, then yeah, other than carrying out your living expenses, travel, food, like if you are an athlete and if you think that you only need to do one job in your entire life, then that job has to be done at the topmost level of the world, which means that you need to play in like the top 5 to 10 leagues of that sport in the entire world. You have to play in leagues from where the players play World Cup, the players play, let's say, continental cups of those sports. For example, if you play football, like I'm going to speak about football because I know a lot about the sport. So if you play football, you need to play in like the top 5 leagues of the world, which are all in Europe, and not just reach those leagues for an year or two or a season or two. You have to consistently play in those leagues, and you have to consistently perform in those leagues, because at the professional level, the sporting world is like a dog-eat-dog world, to be said in the right way, I think, because there's a huge amount of competition. Every single player is at least just as good, if not better, than the other player on that level, like the two players playing on the same level. And so it's very difficult to survive as a professional athlete at the topmost levels, because the players who are playing at the second topmost level are 95% just as good as the players who are playing at the top level. So it's also very difficult to survive on that level. And if you actually happen to play on such a level of a sport, let's say you play professional football in like the top 5 leagues of Europe for 5 to 10 years, then you might actually end up earning that much money that is going to, I think, pay enough so that you can invest that money, you can, or like start business or make passive income sources that can pay you enough so that you can have a financially stable life after you've retired, because your body is not going to support you after a certain age, and then you'll also have to find other sources of money if you do not have your finances set already. I think it gave you a good idea about the financial reality of the professional sports. Either you play in the top 5 to 10 leagues for 5 to 10 years and rightly invest that money and set up different passive income sources so that you do not have to earn the other times in your life, or you should follow the second way, which I'm going to speak about, and you should be really smart with your finances, you should be really smart with how you use money, and you should be as smart as possible from the youngest possible. You're watching this podcast today, I highly suggest that you start implementing the tips that I'm going to teach from today so that you can get a result like 5 or 10 years down the road. Before I get into the tips on how to manage your money, I want to give a huge disclaimer that I'm not a financial expert. I'm not someone who has made millions of dollars as of yet. These are the things which I've learned from a couple of books. I'll link some of those down in the description, and I've learned these from seeing like pros in their real life, because nowadays a lot of pros are on YouTube, on social media, showing off what are they actually doing in their lives. So I've learned it from those pros, and I've learned it from those books, and I also learned it from a lot of podcasts, because I consume a lot of podcasts, not just make them. So now let's talk about how an athlete should use their money so as to secure their future financially. I think that would be the right thing to be said. Okay, so if you've not yet become a professional athlete and if you're like 14-15 years of age, then that's great, man. Like, you've got a huge amount of time to save money, you've got a huge amount of time to invest in yourself, to invest and develop yourself as an athlete of that particular sport, and you have a lot of time and a lot of resources incoming, man. You're like really young, and since this age you should actually start to use your money in the right ways and also use your time in the right ways. Listen, like, there's one thing with professional sports, and that is that you go to the stadiums, you do your trainings, you go to the gym, you get in your workout. Other than that, you are with your team, you are with your team trainers, you are with your coaches, you're doing meetings on tactics and performance and stuff like that. But this only takes like 5 to 6 hours every single day, and other than that you have all day long just for yourself. That's what happens at the professional level. If you've not yet become a professional athlete, then you sometimes need to do double and triple days, which is quite a hectic thing to do, but at the end when you sign a pro contract, it's all is gonna feel worth, man. So since you've not yet become a professional athlete, and I'm supposing that you're a little bit younger to be a pro athlete, so let's start from this age. How should you use your money when you're at this age? So the first thing that I would want to say is that professional sports demand a lot of money out of your own pocket itself. Like, having money does not ultimately define if you're going to be a professional athlete or not. Having said that, if you have more money, then that money is going to open up more opportunities for you. You can afford your own flights, hotels, open tryouts. You can afford to, let's say, pay back some connections if they actually set you up in a professional environment or a semi-professional environment or anywhere else. So you need to have a good amount of money. I don't know how much, because that depends on your situation, how good of a player you are, what do your connections look like, and how far you've made it yet into your career. When you go on trials, then you have to pay for your own travel, you have to pay for your own food, you have to pay for your own hotels as well, and this demands a lot of money, man, because nothing of this is going to be affordable if you're going to do this for like 2 or 3 years before actually you get signed by a team. And I'm not saying that everybody will need 2 or 3 years to sign their contract or 2 or 3 years to get something from the game. People will usually do it in a year and a half. That's what it typically takes most of the athletes to sign a contract after they've, let's say, dropped out of school or college, or they've decided that they want to pursue their game. That's how much time the athletes usually need. But this was just on an average time. It might take you longer, and if it does, and if you still find it meaningful, surely go ahead for it. So if you're young, then you should use your money in really smart ways. How to do that? Number 1, save as much of money as possible, because you are going to need this money when you will be seeking professional opportunities anywhere around the world. Even if it is in your own country, you will still need a lot of money to pay for your flights, to pay for your hotels, to pay for your food, and to often pay for your, let's say, open tryouts, or you might need to pay a scout or connection or something like that can happen, and you don't know like how money can help you to actually open up possibilities for signing a professional or a semi-professional contract, but it's damn guaranteed that if you have money, it's going to open up opportunities for you. So when you are young, you should save money, you should invest money so that that money grows by itself, and you should try to eliminate all of your unnecessary expenses so that you can save and invest the most amount of money that you can. And just like you make sacrifices in the other aspects of your life so that you can train more, you should also make sacrifices in some aspects of your life so that you can save money, so that you can invest money and be better off financially when you actually decide to, let's say, drop out of school or college, or maybe leave your job to be a professional athlete. You will need money at that time, and that money has to be collected from now on, man, because if you have money, a lot of opportunities are going to open up in front of you. So number 1, save and invest as much as possible. Number 2, focus on the basic equipment only. Like you do not need to buy a $10,000, let's say, any piece of equipment that costs thousands of dollars. You should only buy the basic stuff. Let's again take the example of football. You only need a ball to train your skills. You do not even need boots. You do not need cones either. You do not need goals either. Until you're actually going to go out, until you actually want to go out and do shooting training, you do not need a goal. And even if you need a goal, you're not going to have to buy that. You're going to find that in a field, hopefully somewhere around your place. But just the basic stuff, like a ball, a pair or two of boots, a few cones, and this can help you to get a world-class training session in. And you need to focus on the basics. You need to save as much of money as possible and not buy fancy equipment that looks crazy, because at the end, what is going to help you develop as a player is only your work ethic. It's not your equipment. It's not your, I'd not even say skills would help you further. Well, they will actually, but more than skills, if there is something that's going to help you, then that is your desire to play at the pro level and your work ethic. There might be a role of God gift and talents. If you want to believe in that, you can. I would not say no to that. But yeah, from this point, what I want to say is that you should invest only in the very basic equipment that you would ever need in your life. Okay? Invest in the basic equipment, the necessities of training. After you've invested money in your necessary equipments for training, you should invest money in, let's say, paying for your gym, paying for real good quality food. If you want to know a little bit more about food, I have a couple of videos on nutrition on this channel. They are in English itself. You can go out there and check out those videos on athletic nutrition. And you should use your money basically on these 3 things, man, like your training, your food, and your gym. Other than that, you do not need to make huge expenses on yourself as an athlete. You might need a little bit of training gear, like your boots. Let's say sometimes you would even need grip socks if you're playing a contact sport, but these can still be categorized as basic necessities, although they are not needed to become a better player in any sport. Like you can literally take your shirt off every single training session and still improve as a player. So you do not even need like clothes, man. But everybody watching this podcast, I hope, has money to buy clothes. So invest in the most basic stuff. Okay, first do that, then invest in paying the fees for your gym. Along with these 2 things, also invest in paying for good quality food and eat like an athlete should. Okay, so like these are the only investments that you should make in yourself as an athlete. Along with this, you should also work on developing other skills and maybe learning about a few jobs if you're like interested and you find those meaningful. If you're interested in any of the skill other than your sport, it could be something related to art. It could be completely a desk job if you find that meaningful. It could be anything that you would want to do, man, and you should learn a little bit about that. You should invest into skills that help you become better in that particular job, because if you do not end up playing at the top 5 or 7 leagues in the world, you will need to go to a job after you've retired from professional sports, because professional sports will not pay you enough money to survive off of that income after you've retired. So go out there and invest in yourself as a, I don't know, man, like it could be a business person, it could be a freelancer, it could be a corporate employee, it could be anything that you find meaningful. And if you're young, man, like you can set yourself up in a couple of years for any of the job that you would want to do. So invest in the skills that will help you become better at that job, and then also start working part-time at a few places. Yeah, like you do not need to do multiple part-time jobs if you already have a good financial condition. But if you haven't yet given it a shot to become a pro athlete, and if you do not have enough finances, then I would definitely recommend you to go out and do a side job. Use that money to fuel your training, to fuel your, like, to pay your gym fees, to fuel your right nutrition, and When some of that money is remaining, you can go out and save and invest that money anywhere you would want to, because this money will help you when you will have to survive off your own money when you're on trials, or when you are, like, in general, not earning anything. So hopefully in a few years you will have good skills, you will have a good amount of money as well, so that you can go out and give your professional athletic career a good shot. Like, you can give a year or two or even more if you find that meaningful, to give trials, to play in lower level leagues, to hopefully sign in the upper level leagues every single season, and to make your athletic career progressively better. Hopefully these things will set you up for that. Remember, invest only in the basic things, invest in the very basic training equipment, pay your gym fees, pay for the right nutrition, save all the rest of the money, invest that, or do something with that that is going to help you further, let's say, develop a job skill or set up a business or something that you would want to do. Whatever you find meaningful. All that I'm suggesting is that you should have another income stream, so that you do not only rely on your professional, like, you do not only rely on your salary as a professional athlete. Okay, now if you're playing at a semi-professional level or in the lower divisions of the professional level, and if you do not have other financial sources set up, I would recommend that you still start saving your money, investing your money, developing skills for doing other jobs and setting up other income streams, and go out and earn money through those jobs, and then save and invest that much money, so that at one point you can be financially free. If you do that progressively for a few years, perhaps a decade or two, and you have your finances set right. Remember, it is never too late to start. Okay, take out money from your expenses, invest that money, save that money, or start business with that money, or use that money to improve your skills in a particular job, so that you can rely upon your skills of some sort to earn money and to pay your bills. And now, if you're playing at the topmost levels of a professional sport, I would genuinely consider myself like really lucky if someone playing at the topmost levels in a sport is actually watching this podcast. And if you are playing at a really high level, and if you're playing like at the top levels of a sport, please comment down below. I would love to know who's watching this. So when you are at the topmost levels of a sport, or when you earn enough money from that sport so that you can survive off that money, at least for now, like that sport pays you enough money so that you can survive as long as you're playing that sport, then that's really good. You should still use the tips that I gave in the previous points. You should still develop another income stream, like develop multiple income streams, because you're working like 5-6 hours a day. Other than that, you're all by yourself in your apartment, resting, hanging out, chilling, and you as such do not need to do anything, because you're only paid for those 5 or 6 hours which you spend at your facilities and your trainings. So you still have a good amount of time to develop skills for a job, to develop a business, to develop anything that is going to help you earn more money, set up different income streams, earn more money, invest that money in the right places, and hopefully after doing that for like 5, 10, 15 years, you might actually end up being financially free, where at a point you do not need to earn more money, because your passive income cancels out all your expenses and you're just free, man. Like, go out and like chill then. But this is not going to come that easy. All right, you will have to develop skills, you will have to develop income streams, you will have to keep expanding those income streams, progressively seek to earn more money through those other income streams besides your professional sports, and use that money in the right ways. Okay, use money that is coming from one income stream to develop another, then to develop another, then to develop another, so that you can develop multiple income streams that can all at some point of time cancel out all of your expenses, and you ultimately then do not need to go out and work on a job that doesn't give you meaning, let's say. Or you do not need to go out and work on your degree that you maybe sometime finished in your college. You do not need to do something that you would do just to pay your bills. You can actually do something that gives you meaning, man, because it's really important. Even after you've played your professional career, even after your body has stopped supporting you, you're still doing something that's giving you meaning, and this is gonna make you end up happy in life. Also, it is that when you are a professional athlete, you are not going to be paid every single day. Even if you are a professional athlete, it might happen that you are only paid for, let's say, the 6 or 7 months that your league runs for or your season runs for, and other than that, the rest 4 to 5 months you're not paid for. Like, this can happen, and if this happens, I'm like, it's not a big thing, because it happens in hundreds of leagues throughout the world, hundreds of sports throughout the world as well. What I want to say is that even if you're a professional athlete, you might actually not be earning money all throughout the year. You will still need money. If you get injured, if you need to pay your own bills for some time because you're without a team, you do not get team for a season or two, you would need money for that. You would need money to survive in that time, and so you should actually work on developing multiple income streams from as soon as you can do that. You can do the very basic stuff, like if you only know languages, you can be a freelancer on Fiverr or Upwork, or you can teach the kids who seek to be professionals in that sport. You can do paid coachings, you can do online coachings, you can do like anything, man. Like if you just want to do something that gives you meaning, that's really great. Go out, do that thing, make more money, so that you're going to set yourself up for the future 10-15 years down the road, hopefully. If you've not started yet, don't worry, because this is the best time to start. Go out there, save money, invest that money into yourself, invest that money into shares, debentures, banks, whatever, and let it make more money for you. So this is how you should manage your money as an athlete. And I also spoke about the financial background of professional sports. It was a really good podcast for me. Hope you got some value from this podcast, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Alright guys, peace.